This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Recorded May 11th, 2016. Episode 298. Don't turn it on, don't take it apart.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
What's up, nerd? It's just us again.
Hey. Yeah. What's up, man?
I've been fighting technology at every turn. It's what I do.
Yeah, you know, Windows will do that to you.
Oh, dear. Yeah, thank you. Everyone will say, I told you so, you know. And
What, you were switching over to 10? Is that right?
yes, I've switched over to Windows 10 on all my machines except my main lab machine that I do all my editing on. That's my entire business, you know, so I didn't want to rock the boat on that machine.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, there's a phrase about that. It's ain't broke, don't fix it
If
kind
it
of thing.
ain't busted, don't fix it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, I mean, isn't the free, you know, sucking in, isn't the free good date ending soon or something like that? And, you know, like in 2 years' time, I don't want to be, you know, left behind. And I've had no issues with any of my other machines. So, you know,
What you gonna do,
I'd
man?
do it. And
Yeah.
everyone screamed, no, don't do it, it's shit. Which is interesting because 6 months ago, everyone was going, oh, upgrade to Windows 10. It's the best thing since sliced bread. You know, it's fantastic. And now you do it, and all of a sudden, nope. Everyone was, you know, no, don't do it. It'll ruin your life. And sure enough, it did. And which I'll talk about. And the other thing that people have changed their tune on is solid state drives. I did this this happened a week or two back. On this same machine, which my drive actually it looked like it started to fail. I've got a solid state boot drive, right? Mm-hmm. And it started to fail, and everyone went, "Oh yeah, solid state drives are shit." You know, and I go, where the hell did this come from? You know, I've had 9 out of 10 solid state drives fail. Blah 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 blah. Oh, you know, 12 months ago, everyone was saying switch to solid state disks.
Hate to tell you, Dave, you've already revealed the conclusion to this story last week.
Did I?
It was the cable.
Oh yes, it was. Oh, did I?
We were talking to Jake about it, remember?
Cable. Okay.
Because we were talking about we were talking about
were we?
Flash.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the cable, and so that's another example of where people just flip flop between loving something and hating something. You know, and anyway.
Yeah. I think the answer is don't listen to people.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I thought you were good at that.
Well, I didn't. I went and installed Windows 10 anyway. I didn't listen to anyone. And for some reason, no, there's something weird with it. It actually worked. The update worked, and I got in, and everything looked hunky dory. And then and then it said, "Oh, we need to update." One of my apps needed updating. I think it was one of my virus scanning software, and everyone's going, "Oh, there's your culprit." But anyway, so it said, "Oh, it's updated, reboot," you know, which I've done. Same software on all my other Windows machines, and it's done no problems. But I rebooted, and then all of a sudden, nope, wah.
This episode of Windows Weekly brought to you by.
And then Windows 10 has all these jazzy recovery modes and everything. There's like 6 options, and I tried.
You know, this is
all
why
of them.
I don't get why people
Why
are still so
something
stuck on this. I mean, well, no. I just mean like, okay, so we talk about workflow and stuff, and I was talking to some people about embedded tool flows as well, and like so much of it is still Windows based. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Oh yeah, no, of course. Everyone says, "Oh,
such
what
a
are you switch to Linux?" No, like half my
well,
software.
no. I
wouldn't
know
work
you
with
don't like that, but I'm just saying from a tool perspective too. Everything is still so based around. I don't know. It's just interesting how the
Of
programming
course it
talent.
is. It's the world's dominant operating system for desktops.
Sure.
Of course it is. Of course, all the
Sure.
tools are going to be on there.
But why just there? You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
anyways.
well, I don't know. I'm not a software developer. I don't know how hard it is to write, massive big programs that are compatible with everything. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I was talking to another friend about. We were talking a little bit about CAD programs too, and because just how that stuff kind of chases, not necessarily talent, but just like you're not going to get necessarily a CAD program that's going to be written for just Mac, right? Actually, there is one. There's one called Copper. I think that's just for Mac, but that uses like an Eagle backend or something like that. But basically, the idea being that for like those big kind of software programs, that they basically, they're based around talent as much, like software talent as much as anything else. So it's interesting how
Which
that.
was a huge Altium problem.
Right. You've talked about that.
Altium's written in Delphi, right? And
Right.
it was originally written in Pascal when it was in the DOS version, right?
Right,
And
if
that's a
it's-
lot of this
it was
stuff is
hot
historical.
at the time, though, right? It wasn't
Oh
necessarily
yeah, of course. It
hot
was
forever. So
it was a fine choice at the time, and then 20 years, move forward 20 years, and I don't blame any company for not wanting to go. Oh well, it's that's now not the flavor of the month operating system, so we're going to change it, or language, so we're going to change it, yeah, you can get stuck. So,
definitely. And then you're stuck with your crazy update cycles, like you're talking about. It's amazing though, just like how that stuff impacts us, like those workflow tools and everything. It's just like a daily thing. It's like if I don't know, would we put up with it if our soldering irons needed to be updated?
Which can happen these days. There's a lot of USB connected soldering irons. Well, there's a few anyway that have firmware updates.
Really? I have not seen that. I've heard about the USB ones, which I think are still a little bit chunky, but
Well, ones like my JBC brand, right? They've got like a firmware update over USB now.
And what do you update? Is there
The
like a
firmware in
screen, or is there like heat profiles, or
I don't know. I don't know why. Extra features. I don't know.
features?
Bug fixes.
Right. Excuse me. This bug. Make sure it doesn't burst into flames. We fixed the bug. You won't start on fire. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm back to Windows 7 now. I did a disk image. I had a backup. I had a whole disk image, so I just went back to that after trying absolutely everything. That was the last resort. So yeah, back on Windows 7.
Yep. I have done that dance before myself, and it is not one I'd like to do again.
I have not. This is the first time ever I've recovered a Windows machine by restoring a boot image. So it's the first time ever in like 30 years or however long I've been running any sort of Windows,
Yep.
So yeah, there you go.
That's crazy. Well, I've been dealing with some software stuff. I released my, speaking of cross-platform things, I released my new KiCad series. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Yep.
You were tweeting that everywhere.
Yes, yeah, I guess I have been. Well, now this is like a mouth tweet, This is
So
like
is this free or is it part of your course?
No, it's free. It's
okay.
it's
Cool.
it's actually I realized that last time I didn't actually build the thing. So I made 7 videos last time and I was just like, build it yourself, whatever. So I actually went through simulation
and this is your
shopping
problem,
for parts.
isn't it? This is a similar thing. You've got to keep updating that series to make it relevant. Because the software keeps changing, right? In terms of its GUI and its functionality.
Yeah, they
and
definitely
things like
changed
that.
a lot of that stuff.
Right.
And that's always a problem with CAD stuff in general, I suppose. Or really any program that's kind of, GUI based of like, oh, they moved this menu, this workflow is different, that kind of thing. So yeah, that can definitely ruin your Tuesday kind of thing, Of like, oh, I can't do anything with this. But
You're a slave to the open source.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Which
Right.
right. Yeah, that's what it is.
There's a T-shirt in that. There's got it in some way, shape,
I guess
or form.
I don't know. There was my article was on Hacker News too, and of course there was everybody shouting about their favorite thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's going to pick their own CAD program, and that's fine.
Oh right. So there was So it was posted on Hacker News, and everyone said, "Oh, I don't use that KiCad rubbish." Is that what?
Yep.
They were saying, really?
Yeah, try this, try that,
what other
try
ones?
this, try that.
Right. What other
someone
names were thrown around?
Upverter,
Oh, right, yeah.
Eagle,
Yeah, of course.
Altium,
Yep, right.
Fritzing, which is surprising to me.
Yes, Fritzy.
Meowcad.
Meow.
I think that's what it's called. Meowcad.
Fair enough.
I went and looked at it, and it's also open source. I gotta look it up now. Maybe it's supposed to be because it's like cat, meow, cad, meow, cat. Yeah, meow, cat.
Right. No. But I do know, I got a friend who's called, his name is actually Meow.
How do you spell it?
Meow. Meow. In fact, his name is Meow Meow. I kid you not.
I don't want to sound insensitive, but is he a furry or?
No. This is a real person.
Uh,
I've even interviewed him on the show before at the Maker Faire. Anyway,
I have
hello
to look
Meow
this
if
up
you're
now.
listening.
Wow. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So Meowcat is open source apparently, but it's not. It doesn't seem like many people are developing it. So, yeah.
Right.
There's a lot out there. You know, like there really are. There's.
Oh yeah, I know. There's tons. There's dozens.
And
Like-
you know, I was talking to someone else that was a big Altium fan. You know what? I've just kind of given up on converting people because it's not worth it. When you are at the point where you're like, I don't want to pay for software anymore, give me a call.
But people don't want to convert from their CAD tools. It's their CAD
wouldn't.
tool.
I've never. That was my response too. I was like, well,
Yeah.
good luck getting me to switch away from KiCad. I'm not going to do it, right?
Right.
And so yeah, it's just not worth.
Because you see, you've
it.
never really been. You've never really been tied to a CAD program, have you? Because you've never really been a PCB designer, as such.
Oh, like that? No,
Yeah.
no, definitely not. Yeah,
Right.
no, that's not like
So-
my in
Yeah.
it 8 hours a day kind of thing. Yeah,
no,
right.
exactly. Did you even use a CAD tool at your jobs? I don't think you were laying out boards ever, were you? Or very rarely.
When I was using KiCad to be honest. Yeah. So.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean because otherwise I'd have to get a light seat and
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
of course.
learn
yeah.
the flow and
Yeah,
I-
exactly.
pads and
Yep.
Cadence Allegro were the two
Yep.
others that I had
That's it.
exposure to, and I've used Eagle before too, but that was again
Right.
doing my own thing. So yeah,
There you go.
so
No,
yeah, yeah,
And you
it's-
can't blame people for not wanting to switch. In fact, I wouldn't. My recommendation would, if your tool works for you, do not
Yep.
switch.
right,
Just
Right.
stick with it.
right. I'm just going for the new people. So I'm coming for you, people.
So this
Yeah.
Meowcat, I'm sorry, I'm interested now, is a yet another open source CAD tool.
Yeah, I mean,
Is
Jita's still
there
out
a
there.
why? Is there like a why page? Like, why did we bother? Why didn't we just consolidate using KiCad, put our programming resources towards KiCad?
I think because the UI. I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's
Yeah,
not built
sure.
here kind of thing, right? That's
Right,
always
yeah, of course.
you know, like I can build it better, and that's actually I think that's good. That's not a bad thing at all because it means that
But you can fork it. That's the thing. You can take all that existing functionality. If you don't like the UI, well, you change the UI. And then if everyone likes it, boom, they'll use your one. Yours will become the new de facto standard build, you know,
Sure.
etc.
Yep.
Or
Yeah,
however
yeah.
it works. I'll probably get taken
I mean,
to
but then
task
you
for
get back into
exactly-
that same thing we talked about before. If you're not using like WX widgets and OpenGL or whatever the current KiCad thing is using, then yeah, you got to start. I don't know. Some people like just want to do it their way, and that's
Right. No,
That's
yeah,
fine.
no, it's,
So
yeah.
yep. So yeah.
Is that, I mean, that's always going to be the inherent problem with open source software, isn't it? I mean, it's...
Sure, I think it applies to hardware though too, right?
Well, it does. People aren't going to consolidate, you know, and it applies with hardware. People will come up with these whiz-bang ideas that, it'll be a standard open source hardware platform
right.
and everyone
buy
will
this
use
module,
it. No.
right? Dave,
No.
you should buy this module that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have, and say,
exactly.
no, I didn't make that. I don't trust that thing, and
Yep.
that's fine. You know, like that's just it's a trade-off you make between trusting someone else's thing and doing it yourself. Some people are gonna get to market faster with the trusting someone else's thing, and some people are going to get screwed by trusting the other person's thing, right? You can never tell.
Exactly.
So it's just about that trade-off is what do I really value here? You know, I don't know, when you really talk to like, I get upset when people think there's only one way to do things.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, you always need to look at the constraints. That's like the basis of engineering, right? It's what are the constraints? So
I've been dealing
Yeah.
with that recently with my
oh yeah,
project, my major
going on?
project. And, everything's, ran out. We've talked about this before. Ran out of memory. Want to change the processor. Want to
Oh, yeah.
change.
Yep.
In fact, not just change but change the architecture. You know, like
Now, this is
move
you
from-
pushing that, or someone else is pushing that?
No, they were pushing that. We want to move from PIC to ARM. And it'll take us 2 months to rewrite the software. I don't know why it'll take that long, but okay. You know, that's what they'll say. It'll take a month to 2 months to rewrite the software, but we think it's a good move. And then
That sounds low to me, to be honest. Don't you think? I mean,
no, it shouldn't be. Like, it's written
all
in
new
C, right? It's
peripherals,
not
all
like
new-
it's written in assembler, but,
oh boy.
you know, I mean, it's not. No, I
Dave,
wouldn't expect.
you may have skipped past that comment there, but some people just threw up in their mouths a little bit.
Yeah, but
You just cross compile it, and you just target new hardware.
But I've done
port it.
this myself. I've switched from PIC to Atmel, for example, entirely different architectures, and it's not taken me 2 months to rewrite my code. So anyway,
Maybe I'm misunderstanding how big the code is and what it involves and everything. but
right, yeah, well,
I would think it would take longer than that. That would be
Okay.
if I was being asked, Chris, how long will it take for this leg of the project planning? I'd say 6 months minimum.
well, yeah,
And-
well. Maybe the engineer added padding in there, lots of padding. It'll only take me 2 weeks, but I'll say 2 months. So yeah.
Oof, man. Well, I think what you should do is you should let them do it, but only for the sake of proving them wrong. 2 months.
right.
No. Switch it back. We're 2 months are gone by.
We switched it back. We've gone from a PIC 16 to a PIC 32. They now say,
Oh.
oh no, we can do it with a PIC 32. And,
Okay, that's good,
But all the functionality isn't built into the chip, so now they have to, like, it doesn't have an LCD driver, for example, which is what we were using on the PIC 16. The PIC 16 was all integrated. It had like a 480 segment LCD driver in it, right?
Excuse me. So it's like almost going from like a microcontroller to microprocessor. I mean, I know it's not actually that, but
Yeah,
it's,
right, but it's
that level of
exactly.
you expect the PIC-32 to be like a workhorse and doing some heavy processing, and then you have everything else external
Exactly.
or coprocessor.
So anyway, they claim that it's better. Once again, they can't really explain why, which is unusual. Because they're saying, oh, let's move. Like I suggested, just move from the 64K PIC 16 to the 128K PIC 16. Because their original complaint was that they've run out of memory and they can't add all the features, right, in the 64K.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
okay, right.
That's a very reasonable solution from my vantage point.
There's a pin-compatible 128K part, so I thought just drop that in. And they never explained why they couldn't do that. Now they're saying, well, we use 128K PIC 32, and we think that will be better than the 128K PIC 16.
Now, this brings up an interesting point. This is a company that's building other things, of which we won't say they are, but in general, I would be wondering, in the back of my mind, would be how many other products are they building with a 128K PIC 32?
I don't believe any that I'm aware of.
Okay, so that's
yeah.
that would be my first guess, just because then you get the pricing advantage. You also get like if you could port code over.
I know, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like,
no, totally.
Like that's what's interesting about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're almost acting as like a design house for you. I mean, I guess they are kind of a design house, but they're acting as that for you.
That's exactly what they are.
Yeah.
They're a design house, but it's funny, they always they're saying in one breath that we've run out of code and we can we need a bigger code, so I suggest just the bigger micro, and they can't explain why that's not good enough, and then they say we're out of board space, we can't fit anything more on the board. And then they're going, but now we can move to the PIC 32 and have a separate LCD controller. Well, where did that magic board space come from?
Right.
It's so without actually talking, because I'm talking through a third party, right? So without actually talking to they're talking to the designer, and if I could speak Korean, I'm sure I could. Then it's like trying to get information back and forth like that is really difficult. It's not their fault. It's just it's
just how the system's set up right now. I mean, that's
exactly. I'm dealing with through
outsourcing
another
101
company
effectively, right? I mean,
It's,
so how do you skip past and just start talking to the designer? That's the real question, right?
Oh well, I can't. I don't think.
Know. I've dealt with this before, where it was like if you finally can do it, if you finally can skip past and talk, it's like magic, Like you basically
exactly everything's
like talking
sold
to the
in
guy
5
that's
minutes.
on the floor doing the testing. When I got that guy's email, and I was like, "Can you just send me a picture of what you're looking at?" And he sent me a picture of the board. I'm like,
fixed.
Okay,
Problem fixed.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Obvious. Yep.
Yeah, I thought about that before, just for general and business, like the business around electronics. Obviously, business is I won't say similar everywhere, but it's, there are similar issues in many different types of businesses. But in electronics, so much thinking about like the build process and the design process and stuff like that. When you think about like the entire like middle management layer at like big companies, literally all they're there for is just communicating, right? Why do you all sit in a conference room like talking about what are the updates on the status? It's so that people can understand it, what's going on, right? So that they can then reference that later. And why do you send all those emails to everybody? It's just because of the communication piece. There really is no like. I think the engineer in me says like, well, if you put everything on a wiki and people just check the wiki all the time, but it's like even that there is no perfect way. So much of business is just the struggle around making sure the right people have the right amount of information and not too much information so that, the middle manager 2 departments over is like, oh, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. It's so much, that's so much of what business is and so much of where the struggles lie, right? Because when you mess that stuff up, you could be like, oh, no, I set a 2K resistor. You put a 200 ohm resistor, and now the board's on fire. So yeah, I don't know if there's software people listening that could figure that shit out, but that'd be really good. I know that everybody's trying, but yeah, it's not easy.
Management job is to do 2 things. And I'm sure I have all the management experts tell me otherwise, but it's communication and it's resource allocation. And resource management, I guess, if you could, call it that way. Oh, no, you can't work on that because this is a higher priority. Right. You've got to do this for, like blah, 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 and all that sort of crap. And no, you can't just go talk to Johnny because he's busy on, something else, and that'll disrupt the schedule, and then it'll blow out, and my Gantt chart says that'll just screw everything up, right?
Yeah. Friggin' Gantt charts.
Gantt charts, yeah.
Oh, yep.
Dear.
I do like, okay, so I've
got to admit they're handy.
I like the idea of them. I don't like how they're usually executed, but I do like the idea just of like, so like just from a supply chain perspective of like, okay, we know that there is no possible way that we're going to get a chip in less than 8 weeks because guess what? That silicon is still sand.
Exactly. and then you can tie in dependencies to that. Okay, we can't get the silicon, therefore we can't do X, X, and X. And so they have to move on the timeline after that.
Right. Yeah, and I mean like that stuff does make sense, but I think it usually gets bastardized into like, well, design will take 4 months, production will take 4 months, testing will take 4 days, and and then we'll do meetings for like 3 years. I obviously that was stupid, but like it's just like it's the generic use of it that usually stinks. But in general, like resource planning, like okay, we know 8-week minimum lead time. You're not getting around that. That is very useful. So
right.
Yeah. So are you like a manager now? I was just thinking about this as we were talking about that too, because I've never really had a management position.
I'm still, because I'm not saying who's doing what. And, I'm not.
I mean, you are, but you're kind of doing it with your dollars, right? I mean, that's.
Well, no, I'm not. Well, that's the other thing. People say, oh, why don't you just tell them to do this? Well, I'm not paying.
Okay.
Right,
well, then
they're the ones who are paying for this.
So if you were in a normal situation where you were doing a full contract, you would be able to say.
No, if I was the customer who was paying with my own money to develop this, I would be down. I would be demanding to speak to the designer. Yeah, no, right. I want the designer here now, and I'll sort this shit out. Like.
Okay, so that is definitely a specific. That's a special case then. That's probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully not normally the case.
No, but I'm driving the checks, checking. I'm driving the specs, checking the schematics, coming up with no, this can't work, or why have you put that in there? And no, I think we can optimize parts this way.
Right. You're paying in time and expertise, basically.
Yeah.
An opinion.
Much.
Finally, you're turning opinion.
Yes.
You're turning opinion.
Yes.
It's not just the Amp Hour and EV blog anymore, Dave. It's
Yep.
turning opinion into real world tangible goods.
Yep.
Congratulations, you figured it out.
But because I'm not, once again, I'm not paying. I can't always get my way. I feel like I can't always,
Oh,
demand
no.
that
You can have your opinion, Dave. It just has to stay in Sydney. Oh, yeah, that's
So anyway,
that's
it's
a
been
weird
a
scenario.
funny experience. I haven't quite been in this position before. It's quite.
I think
quite
that's
unusual.
pretty unique, to be honest. I
Oh
would
yeah, no,
think.
yes, I think it is. Yeah, having a company design something for you that you aren't paying for is kind of that you didn't. There is a contract in place, but like it's pretty pretty flexible.
Yeah, you're
I think
like
it's been.
licensing yourself and your opinions. That's interesting, though. No, just kind of thinking about management in general too. I mean, like I said, I've never really done that, so I can't imagine it's fun.
Can I mention that people have actually seen this now? People have seen my product, and my supporters have actually seen this.
Oh,
So
cool.
yes, the company did because they want other people's opinions as well. They want community opinion and stuff like that. And interestingly, I may have changed my tune on the open source aspect. Right, I originally wanted this. This is a in this
We've
specific
glanced down this
case,
road
right?
before.
Because I really wanted this to be open source.
And headlining Open Source Hardware Summit this year is David Jones. Never
No,
mind.
sorry, cancel that. Sorry, you have to get a refund. Dave's not turning up. No, but people have put good arguments forth why
So I'd
it
love to
shouldn't
hear
be.
them. I'd love to hear them.
Well, it's actually on the forum. I can point you to the forum.
Yeah,
It's not a supporters
Dave, this
forum.
is an audio format. I don't know if you know about that, but
I know.
I'm sure people would love to go to your forum like usual.
And have a
but
read. But
yeah.
we can link it in. But and here we go, right? I really wanted this to be open source. I thought that would be a huge differentiator because there's already hundreds of products like this on the market, right?
Sure.
And it's like, well, if it's not open source, then it's just another product in a sea of products, right? And sure, it might have a few little feature differentiations and it's got my name on it, etc. But apart from that, like meh. But if it could be open source, it would be the industry's first open source thing from a professional test equipment company.
Yeah,
right?
I got all that stuff. Tell me what made you change your mind. That's the interesting
okay.
thing, I think, here.
Right. So, but then people started, talking about there's, even though I didn't think huge amount, but on the safety side of things, right, the compliance side of things, the fact that the company may not like their code being released public in terms of scrutinized, for example. Not saying that's poor code, but like they may not, there may be reasons why they may not want that. Sorry, I'm trying to think of all the arguments now. I haven't got it in front of me.
Oh, that's okay.
And
Yeah, I think these are just general open source versus. So one, I think
well,
that. Yeah,
the
open
big
source
one-
is definitely opening yourself up to scrutiny.
It is. The big
Risk.
one is that, there's a couple of big ones. A is like people made the kind of valid argument is that, well, this is a tool designed to do a specific job, and the hardware doesn't really have a huge amount of flexibility in it to add new stuff. I mean, all the stuff that's already, all the features that are already, most of the features that are already in there have already been added. Right, they're already in there to begin with. So what can people add by making it open source? Somebody might come up with a clever idea, but it's just polishing. I'm not going to say polishing a turd.
So that's the why bother. That's the why
yeah,
bother.
it's almost like it's why bother, because you don't. It's not like somebody's going to take it and turn it into the world's best firmware. And
Yeah, I don't think that's actually ever the point, though. So I think you have to go back to why other than novelty, you were talking about novelty. Well, other than novelty, why do you even want it to be open source in the first place? I think it's derivative works that are interesting, right?
Well, yes, and A is because it's cool, right? And B, yes, I'll admit that, it'd probably sell more, right? It's better marketing.
Okay, marketing's another
Right,
valid reason, I
marketing's
think.
another
but
valid reason,
I think
right.
another one there, too, that it should be stated, but probably is not in the best interest of this maker, of the person making it for you, is that it's going to commoditize the hardware, right? That is totally a huge piece.
Yep.
And opening up.
They were actually quite concerned about somebody ripping off the whole thing.
Sure,
And
that's- valid and persistent arguments against open source. Yeah.
But I came back with a valid argument that, in fact, it can actually help you protect your product. Because here we go. Because you can actually, of course, you attach a license to your code, right? So it's CC BY SA, right? For example, which is, you must give the company attribution, and you must, and if you being another company take this product and, take all these design files and the code and everything else and make your own product, then you have to give back to the community under the same license, right?
Or else what?
Or else you can legally sue them, right?
Yeah, but that won't happen.
No, but you are legally protected, right?
No, you're not.
What?
I mean, this is just like patent law. You're only as protected as you're willing to prosecute, and I don't think that.
But by going closed source, you're not protecting your product either. Because it's trivial to reverse engineer a product.
No.
Even if you code protect your microcontroller, you can just get the code.
I don't think that's a valid argument. I think because you have to just use it in a relative sense, right? It's open versus closed. It may not be trivial to, or may be trivial to reverse engineer a product, which I think is an arguable thing, but when you compare it against something that's completely open, just ready for the taking, then no, it's not.
No,
that's
but
not
it's
a valid
not
argument
ready for the taking. It's not like the CAD files are being out there. It's not like the PCB files are out there. It's not like they can just turnkey and a Chinese factory spits out a million clones.
It's just the code?
It's just the code and the schematic. Right?
Oh, okay.
It's just the code and the schematic. No, it's not like, well, here's our complete bill of materials with the list of all of our suppliers and our prices, and here's our CAD files, and here's our tooling, and we get it from One Hung Lo tooling company, so you can just, and here's the contact there, you can just call them up and order. It's not like that, right?
Well, I don't think that's particularly open then, to be honest.
But
I don't think you have to give the name of your suppliers for sure, or nor the costing on your BOM. I think that kind of stuff is competitive advantage of the supply chain.
You cannot call it. Well, you cannot use the open source hardware logo, right? If you don't give your CAD files and everything else, you can't call it that. But it's still open hardware, right? You're still releasing the schematic and the source code.
Sure, it's definitely a lot more open than other stuff.
Exactly.
But you were talking about marketing as a thing, and I think that ultimately.
Oh, it's a big thing. I think, I think.
No, I'm saying that you can't market it as much because that's not quite as.
Oh no, and you'll get people, but people will go, oh, but I can get the source code. I can change it.
You would get 2012 Chris and Dave yelling at you.
No. Look, people are not going to want to make hardware variations on this, right? They are not going to go, well, I don't quite like the case. I'm going to design a different case. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, man, but I don't think that that's really the point. You know what I mean? Like you could use these arguments anytime. They're
valid arguments.
I have no horse in this race. I don't really
exactly.
care. The only thing is that you said it might be, so that's the only reason you're answering these questions in the first place. So okay, it's not.
No, anyway, I wanted to make it open because A, it's cool, right? And B, it might, some people might be interested in, I don't quite like the way the software works. I
think the code would definitely be targetable for, that kind of stuff is, sure, that makes sense then.
Well, that was it. It was going to be the code and the schematic. That was it.
Oh, cool.
That's what we're going to make open. But now people have made some good arguments that, well, there's just no point. Like so few features are going to get added because it's just the hardware's not capable of having new features that,
Yeah.
You might get somebody make a more slightly polished version of the firmware, that maybe has an extra feature or two, but it's just not worth the grief that goes along with the actually releasing the code. So I don't know. And they may not be allowed to. They may have code segments that come from some other license that, you can't, I don't know, that just can't be done.
I think the safety one's actually kind of interesting. So you're going to get this thing certified? They're
going
to get it certified.
Yeah, certified and independently tested, yeah.
So how does that change if you open that up?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it does. Like, I think just from a purely practical aspect, it's like a product is sold as meeting a compliance
Right.
standard, right? And obviously, if you go change it yourself, then that company can't be taken to task legally because, well, you're the one who modified your own product.
Oh man, you know what would be the ultimate irony is if you slapped no user serviceable parts on the inside of this box.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Sticker
but
on there.
either way, like it's
Don't turn it on.
Right.
Don't take it apart.
pretty much it comes down like the question comes down
Found
to
a
the
title
firmware.
for the week.
Oh dear. It comes down to the firmware. Should we release the firmware or not? Right?
I think you should.
And
Yeah, that if you can, you should. That would probably be the most likely target of people modifying in the first place. And I think that actually could go back to the company in a
yeah,
beneficial
but I'm
way.
trying to explain there are good reasons why. I'm now thinking, well, there are good reasons not to release the firmware.
Sure. There's always been good reasons not to.
Yeah. I mean, it's or release it in a different way. For example, like release it, like make the high level stuff available for people who want to change their features, but the low level stuff code is like just a module. It's a DLL type.
Well, you know what you could do is you could just say, if you want to change the firmware, give me a call. I'll send you the firmware.
NDA. Yeah.
Not an NDA.
Everyone poo-pooed
I
that.
think there's a difference between broadly distributing something and being like, yeah, you can mess with this.
Well, no. If I was going to release,
Private GitHub repo.
No, that's stupid. You either release it under a license, so you've got control of it, or you don't. I mean, that's no. I think just giving it to someone I trust you not to release it. No, that's just bullshit. No, it's just dumb.
Okay.
Yep. I don't like that at all.
Well, good luck with
Anyway.
your decision. I think you'll do fine. You're gonna
Yeah.
do great.
But, well, the other thing is that you can always do it later. You don't have to make the decision now. It's like,
Very
well,
true.
if yeah, it's not it isn't a make or break thing. So, it doesn't affect anyone except the ultimate people who buy it. And yeah, I think labeling it, saying it's open source, here's the firmware, would probably sell a few more units. It's more marketable. People will go, oh, I can modify my own firmware. That's great. Even though
Ooh,
only
I can buy a $35 computer. That's great. Ooh, I can
Or
buy a $5 computer. That's great. Ooh, I could buy an open source this. That's great. Yeah, no, I've heard that one. I've actually said that one myself quite a bit.
And it
But I
works.
suppose that's how marketing
right?
works.
And
Yeah,
then
you're
people
right,
don't
you're right.
use
Good
it, right?
point.
They buy their $30 Raspberry Pi and they never
Yeah.
use it. They just buy it because it's cheap. Same thing here. People will buy this thing because, they like the fact
Yeah,
that
I'll
it's
get
the
to it
first
someday.
open source
Yeah.
version. Maybe I'll, but only 0.1% do, take advantage of it. Anyway,
Yeah. Well, I think that your community will be well equipped to mess with that stuff if you decide to. So,
Anyway, if you want to have your say on it, we'll link in the forum thread for it.
Yeah.
And you can discuss to your heart's content. Should I release my new product open source or not? I think it's a given that the schematic will be released. I think that, because there's no, because anyone can reverse engineer the schematic in a day.
because otherwise you would
It's
just do your own teardown of your own product.
no, it's like, it's stupid. Like, it's not going to then, the numbers aren't going
You
to be
should
rubbed
do
off
that.
the chips, So I think it's a given the schematic will be, available for the thing. I can't see why not. And I can't see the manufacturer having a problem with that. So, but I think what they're stuck on is the source code. They're a bit,
Yeah.
they're getting
It's interesting just
heebie-jeebies.
how much of when you start to really look at competitive advantage, especially in the age of China and everything, and it's not hard to, if you can get the schematics just about anywhere, if you can figure out what the parts are through some sweat and toil, what is really the competitive advantage? There's code, right? That is definitely one piece, and maybe that's an argument against.
Yeah, but code is easily stolen.
I think the
right?
real
And-
one is just. I think the real one is just pricing. To be honest,
It's pricing and your name as well,
Oh, sure, branding.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. But those two things are some of the biggest pieces of oh yeah, I can get these chips cheaper because I'm buying so many of them. I get it cheaper than anyone else. I have a somewhat veiled supply chain. Maybe I have an agreement with a vendor that they'll only sell a certain part to me, so it becomes like the purple screw.
And it depends
And then,
how
yeah.
tangible, how tangible's not the right word. I'm trying to think of the right word here. Anyway, I'll try and explain it. How, like, take the Arduino, for example. What is the difference between a genuine Arduino and one of the clone ones or whatever you want to call them, right? Nothing, because it's a bare board with parts
branding.
on it, right? Yeah, it's branding, right? Because there's nothing else, right? Whereas something like my product, for example, what's the difference if somebody, let's say I released mine, it was open source, right? I released the firmware and some company cloned the thing, right? They didn't have the original CAD file, so they would have had to redo that themselves. They didn't have the original PCB layout. It would be different. It'd feel like a different product. It wouldn't use the same plastics. It'd feel different. Maybe the switches would feel different, because they're manufactured differently. Maybe they're looser or they're not as, and the PCB layout would be different because they wouldn't exactly copy it, right?
I think that actually is tied into branding though too, because like part of a brand is just like the quality, right? So if you think about
quality, that's right.
Yeah, because if you get burned on a certain piece of gear that you buy, you're probably not going to buy it again unless it was so cheap that you're like, man, whatever, like.
But it's easier to clone just a bare board, for example, with high quality than it is to clone an entire product with plastics and sockets, custom sockets. So
like a discussion
and
of complexity, you're saying, right? Yes, so just cloning in a complex product is much more.
Cloning and complexity, whereas it's just a bare board PCB. Well, like. Anyone can churn that out with the same quality or even better quality than what you've got. But a complex product that has many mechanical and other aspects to it, right?
That so what you're trying to say is you would probably buy a Barduino over an Arduino instead of buying an e-phone over an iPhone, right?
Correct. And I think the majority would be the same. Would they not?
I think you're right. Yeah, no, I think that complexity. So you're saying that complexity could almost be a competitive advantage. Make yourself a turbo encabulator, and you will have a defensible product.
Oh goodness.
Oh man, what a weird industry though, huh?
Yeah, I know. Why the hell are we?
I just got to notice that the product that I got a U.S. patent for 2 years ago just got its European patents. At the company I no longer work for.
Twirling my finger around.
Yeah, no, I know, seriously, that's also how it works, right? That's like, I guess that's another competitive advantage of it's just lawyers.
Right.
Screw lawyers. No offense to any lawyers out there. You might be a nice person, but screw lawyers. Yeah.
Yep. All right, can we talk about something else?
Sure.
Let's talk about the one you don't want to talk about.
Before we jump into that, I want to talk about something else that's actually kind of nice. I don't know. It's still kind of in this. So I actually bought a module that I thought was actually ripped off. I didn't think it was ripped off. I thought it was just unlabeled. I got lucky, and it was just a desperation move, really. So I bought this heartbeat sensor module, and I saw it on SparkFun, and then I couldn't find it anywhere on Prime, and I needed to get it before I leave on Friday or Saturday, rather. So I was like, I don't want to do this, but I did it, right? That's convenience is another competitive advantage. Having your stuff in Amazon. Yeah.
Anyway, so you bought this board. And what?
Luckily, it turned out that the one that SparkFun actually licensed it from the same people, so it's actually all good. But just kind of the whole buying a module. So I gave a talk about this. My talk got released. But I've kind of had some weird feelings about like I've internalized that I work in electronics, right?
Yeah.
But now that I've kind of
bought a module and you feel dirty.
I bought a module. Yeah. Well, and it's because of time. I want to actually.
No, of course.
I want to make a thing. I have it.
Exactly.
Basically, I want to get something done before Maker Faire, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, but it's hacketry time. You know what I mean? Like,
that's perfectly the case where you would do that.
Oh, I totally agree. And actually, I think this is actually a thing that I need to train out of myself. Because like this thing works fine. I mean,
of course.
It's great. It's done. It definitely works, you know what I mean? Like, so this is actually the struggle that I've had, is that like my first instinct is to be like, oh, I need to build a pulse, pulse meter type thing. Time to go to DigiKey, build it myself, and that's.
Well, I might have to make that. I might have to do that very shortly. I'm on the bench at the moment. I'm doing a hacking of a product, right?
Okay, yeah.
And it's actually not going to. It's weird. Anyway, maybe you'll find out when I finish the video.
Yeah.
And I'm going to need a little in between, like I have to mod in like a little board to make like to plug into an SPI bus, right? It has to like go in series with an SPI bus and then translate the commands and do stuff like that, right? And I was just thinking, oh yeah, like I wouldn't roll my own. I just like, oh, bugger it. Even though I'll feel dirty, I'll just use a little Arduino Mini or something, like.
Yeah.
Like, like who cares, right? It's there. It's just done, right? I'm not just going to go get my own little PIC or Atmel or something and then build up a board and then, and then code it from scratch. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like.
Right. No. I think this is actually a good topic for us to talk about because it's like a mindset thing, but it's actually around electronics of like, I shouldn't be doing this. I am an electronics designer.
I'm a professional electronics designer. I can do everything.
This is actually the same. No, we actually talked about this earlier too, right? This is the same of like, I need to redo the entire CAD program myself, right? It's like, no, wrong. So yeah, no, I think, and actually, so the talk I gave was actually about that you should do this, especially when you're starting, because
I have
first off,
seen
it's more
your video, by the way.
Oh, you watched it? Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Thank you, David. But then you dive down later, basically. That's the idea, is that like once you're ready and you're like, oh, this thing can't,
Exactly.
I've got it working, it's hacked together, this can't do what I need, then you start building your own, that kind of thing. And then you have a good example to build off of, and you know what to... Like, you wouldn't go and design, even in your case with this product that you're building, you wouldn't go and design it. You haven't designed it from the bottom up. You're basically saying to people, let me work with you and we can, change the couple things that we want to make better. But we're starting from a top piece that already pretty much a design that kind of already works.
Oh, no, actually, sorry, bad example. No, we're starting from scratch, yeah. Yeah, no, this is not based on any existing design. No,
all right.
sorry.
Well, I will chalk that one up to you've seen enough products to know what you do want. So maybe that is a little different.
Oh, right. Well, okay.
But it's also not going to be done anytime soon either, right?
Yeah, so that's, it looks like it looks like all the other products in the market. No, it's not some radically different look and feel. No, it's.
But I just feel like that's such a
traditional.
big piece of like even with like kits, like I often encounter people, and I used to be like this too. It's like, oh, I don't want to build a kit. I want to design something complete myself, and it's like, no, man, you got to just go do it. Just go make the mistakes when you talk about constraints, right? Your constraints are you have to build that thing at the end instead of you have to build anything in the universe. You know what I mean? Like at least you have an end goal to work towards. Like that's a big difference. So yeah, it's
poor Chris.
Modules.
He feels dirty.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just about shifting the mindset. And the thing is, a lot of people are already in this boat. Like they're already like a lot of people coming in from like the software world too. They're just like, well, I want to just find something that works and I get it to work. And it's fine.
They don't have the mindset that we do because they don't have the engineering background, right? They're going, of course I'm going to use an Arduino or this module and that module and plug them together. Like, how else would you do it?
Right.
Like. Right. Yeah, it's
no, and it's interesting too because I used to work with a couple engineers that were very much like this, and then one of them came up to me one day and he's like, "Yeah, I got this idea for a product," and he told me all about the product idea and blah 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 all the way to the end, and then he's like, and I'm like, so like, what does the interface look like, and like, what is it? He's like, oh, well, it's like a blinking LED at the end, and I'm like, the underlying tech is cool, and I know that's the stuff you focused on, and that's really interesting, but it's just like no one cares about that because you're jumping into a marketplace that has all these other things where people are just bodging modules together with fancy displays, and you're already left in the dust. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, you can still work on your interesting piece, but you still have to use all these other modules to make it a viable product too. And he tried to make everything from the base level where he was even making the interface where the interface he shouldn't have even considered touching it. You know what I mean? Like an LED, come on, it's like bad idea, dude. So that's my piece about top down. I have a long way to go with this. It actually changes some other things about the way I run my course and stuff too. So
okay, cool,
interesting,
excellent. So we'll link in your video for those who haven't seen it. Although I'm sure we mentioned it last week, didn't we?
Maybe.
So you're having a second suck of the Sav.
When Jake was on, we mentioned it? I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, You wanted to talk about something that I didn't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it. So
I don't know why you don't want to talk about it. It's fascinating, and you're just scared. You're just a wuss that they're
I'm
going
not
to sue
scared.
you or
I just
something.
think that this is such a overblown topic of like this is like one of those things where okay, so if someone stopped listening right now, they wouldn't know anything of what we're talking about. Some people are already guessing what it is, but they wouldn't know anything what we're talking about. And there there was a do you ever used to watch the show Scrubs?
No. Oh,
that-
right. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah,
sort,
there was the mean doctor, Dr. Cox.
Right,
He says I don't hate you, I nothing you. And
I
that's
know- right.
that's what this is. It's I nothing this
You
company.
just don't want it to exist because it's so stupid. You just
It's so
ignore
stupid.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and there's been so much media about it in the first place that it doesn't deserve more focus.
Right. No. But something interesting has come up, which makes
we're gonna do it
Which
anyways.
makes it a topic of. It makes it a very good topic of conversation.
You know,
And-
Dave, I would talk about it just because you want to talk about it, because you're my friend, and I want to talk to you about it.
Oh,
So go ahead, buddy.
All right, U-Beam. Our favourite shonky product, U-Beam.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and ordinarily I wouldn't talk about it again, which is why I haven't done the video, right? I've had a lot of technical content come my way, let's say, that has been trying to encourage me to write do a video
Yeah,
on
a
this thing,
definitive
right?
reference video for why this
definitive
is full of
reference
crap.
video of why this is full of crap. And I'm going, oh, look, I just don't care enough anymore.
Yep.
Maybe 2 years ago when I wrote that blog article, but now I just, I just don't care. So that's why I haven't done the
Been
video.
2 years, really?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
I know.
We should have like like how they used to do on like World War II planes when they like shot other planes out of the sky. They kind of had the stamps.
Yeah,
we could do that with like logos. You know what I mean?
Hang on. I'll find you an exact date. Here we go. Here's my U-Beam. A lot of people don't know that I spoke up against U-Beam. It was, here we go, August 7th, 2014. So it's not quite 2 years ago, but we're getting there.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, I haven't bothered doing this video. But as it turns out, this is why it's interesting, because the former vice president, now confirmed, the former vice president of engineering at U-Beam, has left, obviously, and is now speaking up and has a blog page where he's going to town on U-Beam and why it doesn't work, and but more interestingly, the reasons
Yes, I
that
agree
he
with the
worked
interestingly
there,
thing.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is the interesting part. We'll actually it's a blog, so there's multiple posts, but there's one post in particular explaining why he actually
why would you
went
go
to
work there in the first place,
if you
right?
know it's
Yeah.
bullshit, right? You know this product is never going to work.
Right. This
It's
guy
bullshit.
basically has the bona fides. He understands ultrasonics. He understood all that other stuff.
This is a world
and yet he's still
expert
there.
in ultrasonics, right? And
Right.
and U-Beam have been able to attract the world's best ultrasonic experts, right?
Right,
And
which also lends credence
It
to the
lends
idea as well, right?
credibility
That
to
was
them.
trumpeted as we
Exactly.
have this great idea. Here's all these experts.
Exactly.
We must be
work.
onto something.
It must work because we've enticed all these experts. Why would they come otherwise? And he gives a detailed explanation of why. It's because he wanted to go work on cool tech. Go figure. A nerd wants to go work on cool tech. Who would have thought? Right.
The
And
hopes
then-
of tool tech, even if
know.
it's not confirmed, right? Like
and
a
it's
challenging
somebody-
problem.
and it's somebody else's funding. But the main reason is that he wanted to go work with the head, the CTO. And, there's names here, right? I won't bother naming because it probably doesn't mean anything. You can go read if you want to find the names. And, the chief he wanted to go work with that chief technical officer because he thought he was, the coolest guy on the planet. He wanted to go work for him. And then in turn, other people wanted to go work for this guy because they thought he was cool. And bingo.
Oh, we
it's
talked
like
about this 2 weeks ago,
you know,
didn't we? We said
we?
and many times in the past, you go work somewhere because
Oh,
you
big-
find people that are smarter than you,
exactly,
right?
smarter than you, and you want to go
Yeah.
work on. Yeah, I mean, and there was probably, at the time, like if you're in the ultrasonics business, there's probably no cooler
Yeah.
place to work. And if you ignore the bullshit premise of the whole thing, right? And the impractical premise of the whole
Physics?
thing.
Are you trying to say physics, Dave?
No, it works from a physics point of view. It's an engineering point of view is why it fails. It's a practical, it works, like physics, well, okay, it depends how you want to define it, but it works, right? It's just that it doesn't give you enough power output, right? There's too many losses, which to me becomes an engineering problem. Right, the physics of it works. You can charge a phone.
So you're saying if you like super cooled stuff and you didn't
if
worry
you pump
about
enough power into it and you have it
things
close enough and you have your beam
Sure.
concentrated enough and you have efficient enough
right. So if
transducers,
it's an
you can do it.
experiment versus a widely rolled out platform. Okay,
Right,
okay,
right,
I'll
right.
give
So
you
it's
that.
possible, and it doesn't break the laws of physics, and that's the
Right.
and that's always the thing that Meredith Perry's been saying, who's the
Right, and so the challenge then is
person
doing
behind
it within a reasonable amount of cost and doing
which is
it.
the definition of engineering, right?
Right. Yes, you're
making
right.
a practical product, right?
Yep. And making it
so that-
repeatable and making it safe and yada
exactly,
yada. Right.
So it's
Applied
not
science.
possible, right? So from an engineering point of view, it's just bullshit. But it's working on some of the world's best ultrasonic beamformers. They did their own ASIC, for goodness sake, to actually, I presume
didn't see
it
that
does all the
part.
beam. Oh yeah, they rolled their own ASIC. In fact, Meredith tweeted a photo of the ASIC before she took it down. Somebody must have tapped her on the shoulder and said, "Ooh, you shouldn't post a photo of the ASIC." So she posted a photo of the ASIC, and somebody copied it. And so
really?
The
Where is
yeah,
it?
The
Is it
photo's
on
still
the-
available. Yeah.
I will have
And,
to find this.
Yeah, it's probably on the forum thread somewhere. And anyway. Yes, and so he explains why they went to work. It was basically the people. They wanted to work with other cool nerds. And all the cool nerds were, one person started working there and then others joined in, even though they all knew it was bullshit, And
right.
well, I can't speak for anyone else other than the guy who has spoken for himself, which is the former vice president of engineering, right? Who says, in a roundabout way, says, oh yeah, he goes through the math and everything in one of the blog posts, right? Why it's bullshit, and why it's not going to be practical and it's not going to work as they claim, and so yeah, that's why they go there. Anyway, I thought it was fascinating, and you should read it. It's a really good article. But the other interesting thing is that TechCrunch, who almost started all this U-beam craze, right?
Yeah.
They have come. There is now. Just today, just this morning, it popped up. They are now writing an article critical and pointing to this blog post and going, "Oh yeah, we were always skeptical," or some crap like that. I don't know. And it's bullshit, because
Revisionist
TechCrunch,
history.
the
Yeah.
owner of TechCrunch, owns the Crunchbase or whatever it is, and which is a funding platform, which are an investor in Ubeam. Which is why TechCrunch.
Oh, that's right. They have a social media arm too. I forgot about
They
that.
have, and so TechCrunch.
Or not social media,
So that's
investment
why
arm.
they've always gotten
Yeah.
the scoop on the latest thing. They've always written positive articles about Ubeamers because the owner of TechCrunch is an investor in Ubeam, right?
Yes,
but now,
is that Michael
interestingly,
Arrington,
they've come out. Yeah.
That fun guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know his name.
kind
I
of a dick.
forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, once again, he's a nothing. I don't care
Yeah,
that he exists.
exactly. I also nothing him. I have no. Yeah.
Right. And so this is why it's interesting. So this is why I brought it up again, because the VP of engineering has come out, and which is confirmed, by the way. He is was the vice president of engineering, and the guy, Lee Gomes from the IEEE, who wrote the IEEE Spectrum article against Ubeam. That was an excellent article. That was the best article ever written on Ubeam, and it was so critical of it, and rightly so. They got everything right. Lee Gomes did an excellent article.
Wait, this is on IEEE?
This is on the IEEE Spectrum's website, yes.
Huh.
Yeah, huge.
I must have read that one at one point. I remember reading
maybe
something.
We'll link it back in. Anyway.
There was a blogger post or something at one point. One of the first ones that you started talking about, too. There was one before yours.
Right,
That
yes, it
one was
was.
good.
And that one got linked famously. That was, why the title was Why Ubeam Represents Everything That's Wrong with Silicon Valley or something.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I'll try and find that one, too.
It was some physics guy. Yeah, it was some physics guy who wrote it.
Yep.
And then everyone jumped on him as like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And it was right, And anyway, Lee Gomes did this excellent article in the IEEE, very well researched. He actually, did all the proper journalist stuff. He actually contacted people and, talked to people even off the record and everything. He actually, called up people and did
Journalism,
all that,
huh?
right? Yeah, real journalism, right?
What the
Go
hell?
figure. I know.
Can I see this as a listicle, please? Top
And
24 reasons U-Beam probably won't succeed. You won't believe number 14.
oh god, I get
Yep.
sucked into clicking on that shit.
Dude, there's a reason people do it.
I
It
know.
works. You know
It
what I mean?
works,
Like,
it works. I know. I
Yep.
know. Anyway, so yeah, Lee Gomes wrote this awesome article, and he has now confirmed that yes, this guy is who he says he is. He is the former vice president of engineering.
I think even even outside of the stuff, so we had already written this off as whatever, right? Outside of that, I think that the article that he wrote, the one that you pointed to, is totally legit, and I think that like going somewhere for other talent. He also mentioned awesome test gear, right? Being well funded.
Oh yeah,
that's
well
also
funded.
valid.
Yeah, you get all the coolest toys. Yep.
But I think that it just shows that I would think any startup you'd go in with your eyes open, hopefully, of just like, yeah, this could be totally BS, I guess. I mean, like, it's
Yeah,
unproven
but
technology,
no,
right?
Not so much BS, but it could fail, right? The odds of fail
It could-
are
yes,
big.
that's a better way to say it.
But you
Yeah.
don't care because it's you get to work on cool stuff. It's an open checkbook almost, and it's fun and
Yeah,
exciting.
it's exciting. You're working with
yeah.
fun, cool people. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
I don't blame someone for that kind of stuff.
No. So anyway, it's interesting to have it, but in this particular case, engineers know things are bullshit, right? Engineers have a finely honed bullshit detector, right? And most do anyway. And yeah, and this is a first time I've probably ever seen it, explained why you would go work for a
Right.
company
well, and
is
so
bullshit.
this guy was writing about how he followed the CTO too, which means
Yep.
that it's kind of interesting that so say now you want to start a company. Say you had a black box technology. What you really need is a strong technical lead to basically recruit other people. That guy's or girl is basically a linchpin for the rest
Exactly.
of your engineering team. You know what I mean? Like
Bingo.
that's a huge piece that you can kind of sidestep other things if you can finally convince Dave Jones to join your startup. So what Dave's trying to say is email him at startup@eevblog.com and Dave will join your startup today for the right amount of
Many have
cash.
tried. I probably get an email a month
Yep,
saying, yeah, will you come join our startup? Like, we'll give you 20%, blah, 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 and
You know,
yeah.
20% of nothing is, right?
Right, yeah, I know, exactly. Why do you think I've turned him down?
Yeah.
And there's been nothing interesting. I'm like, if somebody came along and said, hey, we want your name behind this so that
We
other
are
people...
internet-connected socks.
It gets down to that level, yes. That
Here at TOFI, we really think that your feet should be well connected. You need to understand, how much am I sweating?
dude,
Am I
that
running
is,
too fast?
that is not far off some of the products that
I
I've
totally-
been pitched.
Nothing, very few things shock me anymore, Dave.
I know,
At least
it's so
around
bad.
our industry and what people think is a viable business.
Oh my goodness.
I'd also like to say, I love that there are people trying all these hardware startups, but man, so many things. There's so many things that people need in their lives that are hardware related, and no startup is doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because usually the things that people need in their life, more affordable transportation and lower cost energy, like solar panels
don't
and
want to
stuff.
work on hard practical stuff like
Well,
that.
it's just the scale of it, right? The complexity, and
yeah.
obviously, like we talked about earlier, the barrier to entry that is posed by that complexity, right? It's crazy, and so it becomes we're an internet connected sensor, and you can talk to it with your smartphone. Only works with iPhone 6s. It's like, oh, okay, well, good luck with that.
Actually, the other interesting point about this U-beam thing is that, I've kind of had a little bit of similar sort of experience here. Everyone knows I used to work at Altium, right? And
You did?
Yeah. And of course, I thought that their direction was bullshit. Right? That their whole FPGA is the future, right? I knew that was bullshit. I knew it wouldn't work, right? And I knew their $4,000 FPGA demo board that I was working on would not sell. I knew it, right?
How did you know it, Dave? Are you some kind of prognosticator? Can I hire you as my CTO at my startup?
Because I'll tell you exactly the reason why. I have a brain.
Yeah, because of common sense.
And I have thoughts. I can reason. And
Yep.
and anyway, I was another person in the hardware group there left. Actually, he sort of got me to join. And then he left like 6 months later going, yeah, this is bullshit. I'm leaving. I don't want any more of this. And he wanted me to come with him at a new company, and he said, come and join me at this new company. And I went, no, I've only been here 6 months, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and I think it can get better. And, I thought that I could make change, I thought I could reason them out of this bullshit idea.
I could change it from within.
Exactly.
I could be the change agent.
That's right.
David L. Jones, change agent.
And then, no, you just realize that you get beat over the head with a club, so just shut up.
Double O nerd.
You slowly learn that. And I liked the people I was working with, and hey, once again we had like an open budget and like.
And I remember the Burger Day in the cafeteria.
Yeah, exactly.
You were a very big fan of Burger Day.
Burger Day.
Yep. Yeah.
No, it was just It was just a good place to work and good people to work with, and. And flexible, and there were no bullshit meetings, and there were it was an enjoyable place to work, which is why I stayed there for 4 years. Even though I fundamentally thought their direction was stupid. And I was
I mean, first off, people are going to dislike their job at some point. So it's like you could do that and you can keep doing that for a while. Like I know people that have strung it along for 10 years and they're still complaining, but it's just
right.
But there is something about it obviously keeping them there. Either they don't think they can find another job, or they like the people they're working with, and those are all valid. It's just a choice that they make.
Yep.
They could go get a job at some crap company that pays them nothing but has an exciting idea or whatever they want to optimize for. So yeah, I don't think anyone should hold that against you or anyone else.
Oh, no, totally. No, but it's interesting to see it explained, to finally see it explained.
Yeah, no, that part
it's great.
is good.
I reckon, hats off to the former VP of Ubeam for actually coming out and, explaining why. It's great.
That is the nicest thing you'll hear us say about Ubeam.
Yeah, because it's just going to die from this point. It's just it's gone.
Thinking back to the we should have like a list. We should do? We should have like a memorial sometime in the outro.
Page on the...
No, not a page.
Right.
Like we're just like slowly reading the names. Ubeam, EE Store.
Right. I'm sure
what's the one with the gills that you posted about? You posted about the gill thing.
Triton gills. Yeah. They finally pulled that, by the way.
Yeah.
They did finally pull it, and within at the last hour, they only had days or something left to fund, and they
the peachy printer. That was just I just saw on Hackaday today that the peachy printer flopped. All of these things. At the end of the day, it's like. Yeah, well, what were we really expecting here? Brought that one on ourselves. Oh man. The coolest cooler.
Oh yeah, the coolest cooler and other, there's so many of them, and some of them are quite different. Some are legitimate scams, right? I'm sure you know which ones are legitimate scams. Others are just the ridiculously impractical,
and, bad engineering decisions. Bad luck, right? I mean, there is actually those.
Others are, bad management. Others are, they just couldn't handle it. They got too much money. And
forgetting to do any engineering at all whatsoever.
Exactly. Yeah. Or not.
That's what we meant to do.
Realizing that engineering's hard, and And the list is endless. It's great.
Yeah. Now, I also feel like in the same breath, I feel like we should, whenever I catch myself laughing and being jovial with you and other people about these things, I feel a little bad. Sometimes we should still, like, the people that are legit, that are not scamming people, you're trying. That's something. That is something.
I think there should be a website where people can. Well, a master list can be kept, fundingfailures.com.
That's a good idea. You should go make that.
Yeah, I should make that.
If you'd like Dave to be the CTO of your startup, fundingfailures.com. Email startup@eevblog.com. Oh, man.
That'd be great.
I might not get old.
Yeah.
I might keep doing that.
Somebody
can
needs to keep a record of these.
Yeah, you're the guy, man.
I'm
You're the guy.
Shit, another task. Yeah.
Surely someone in the community could do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Just put it up on your forum. Someone will do it.
Maybe my new employee can do it.
There you go. All right.
Yes.
Has the new employee started?
Yes, he has. Tiernan. Say hi to Tiernan.
Nice.
You probably won't see him. He doesn't really,
He's not he's more a back of the house instead of front of the house kind of person.
Yeah. Anyway, he's doing packing and shipping, and we'll be doing other stuff for me.
Good.
So yeah.
Look at little Davy Jones building out his empire. Oh.
Oh dear.
Oh man. Yeah, it's well, Dave's growing up so fast. And that's actually another thing I was thinking about when you were talking about Altium. Like, all right, yeah, it didn't work out, but like, look what it led to. I mean, like, they're actually, you hung on maybe longer than you should, not even should have. Then maybe you were happy there the whole time, but in the end,
well, I wasn't. As I said, I wanted to leave in the end. It was
right, of course. But I'm just saying
when
that
they made me redundant, I didn't cry. I actually
of course,
cheered.
but like that frustration, right? That kind of frustration there also was when you were starting up your blog and everything, right?
Yes.
So
correct.
that you were doing that stuff to scratch your own itch, keep technical, and keep doing stuff that you wanted to do on your own, and that's. So what we're trying to say, people, is that if you really want a good idea for the future, go get a really shitty job.
Right, because that'll give you incentive to do your own stuff.
I didn't have a bad job, but I was just unsatisfied. That's why I started my course. It was the exact same reason, man.
Right.
So
and at every job I've worked at, it's not that I'm unsatisfied that I worked on my own stuff. I'm just a nerd. I work on my own stuff.
Right. But also, it might have put you more in the mood to get on camera or do other things about it. So.
Yep. Cool.
Yep.
That's it. That's
all right.
Show.
Anything else on our list?
Nope.
We should see. Just double check on the list. Anything? Oh, seriously, speaking of startups, most people didn't like this, but I loved it. Alicia made this thing about stock options. She like drew out these pictures for Snow White. It's great. I think people should definitely go check that out. So even though they're our sworn enemy over at Embedded, I like that one.
And a Japanese satellite failed because of a software update.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I don't know what else we would say about it.
No, that's shit happens. Right?
Do that better next time, guys. hey, Japan.
Try
harder.
Cyprus bought some Internet of Things bullshit. I don't know. Who cares?
People can follow our subreddit, the Amp Hour, r/r/the Amp Hour, and add to it if they'd like.
And you complained about me mentioning Ubeam, but it got 11 thumbs up.
Just no. This is how BuzzFeed editorial meetings go. Well, we gave them the list of 24 ways to give your dog a Brazilian wax, but everybody clicked on it,
Right.
So we should do more of those listicles.
But even more
that is a false
people,
positive, Dave.
Right. But even more people wanted us to talk about the Japanese satellite that failed, and okay,
I don't care. I mean, like, I shouldn't have said that out loud. At the end of the day, I think the best shows are the ones like today where we're talking about projects and electronics and stuff like that. If we just did the most popular articles, like that is
right.
That is
right. It's BuzzFeed where.
It's the tragedy. Is that the tragedy? That's not the tragedy of the commons, but that's just chasing the lowest common denominator, right?
Yep.
So
got it.
We define the agenda, David.
Right.
We are the deciders of the deciding. Chris has been talking too long. I'm getting loopy. All right.
Fine.
So, talk to you next week.
Catch you next time. Yep.
All right. Next week. See ya.
Bye.
Oh, remember EE Store? Oh, man, I hated those guys.